Hello, everyone. We'll start in a couple minutes. Just seemed like I saw the members a minute ago.
Groundhog Day.
We just came, for those of you who weren't a part of the first meeting, we just came from a joint session with the town council going over new housing plan requirements. Got a couple more. Let me see if I got everybody here. We have a couple more commissioners we're waiting for that are switching over from the other meeting. Thank you all for coming. What do we drop ticket prices tonight or something? It's more people.
Wow, no kidding. Betty.
You know that she can't vote, right, Randy?
I'm sorry?
You know that she can't vote. She's not a valid vote.
The doodle?
Yeah.
That's my cohort today. There's two others that are running around too that are just 8. Now they're like, oh man, come on, can we have some attention?
Give everybody a couple more minutes to get here. I got okay, I see Perry here. I see Paul coming in. I don't see Nancy. There's Nancy. Nancy's on the phone. I think we have everybody.
Yeah.
All right, then let's. Stephanie, are you ready? If I'm ready.
I am.
All right, I have my official gavel with me again tonight, so we'll go ahead and start the Planning Commission agenda for April 28th. Can we start with a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Lane.
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Tonelli.
Here.
Commissioner Lamb.
Here.
Commissioner Lerner.
Here.
And Commissioner Narnsick. Harry, I think you're on mute.
Perry?
Sir, you better off not hearing me. Yes, here.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2 is public comments, and this is for items that aren't on the agenda tonight. What we like to do is make sure that everyone has a chance to speak about something that they might want to bring up to the commission or give us updates on things that have already happened. That basically allows sort of an open format for things not on the agenda that, sometimes they become things that come on the agenda later. So is there anyone who would like to speak on items that aren't on the agenda tonight? If you would either raise your hand on the camera or take yourself off mute and indicate that. All right, I'm going to open the public hearing on that, and then seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing on item number 2 and talk about the approval of the minutes from December 28th and January 27th.
I didn't have any issues with them. I think they're, Eric, I'm fine with them. I read them, although I think I have to recuse for December 28th, but I'm fine
Right.
making a motion. If no one has an issue with the second meeting, I'm happy to make a motion to accept those.
Yeah, the first meeting I had a quick question on it. In the vote tally, it says 4 ayes and 1 abstention. And Randy, you left the meeting, and that I don't think that counts as an abstention. So I think technically it's 4-0-0. And it's noted in the agenda that you left. So is that correct, Stephanie? I think that's not an abstention.
So I'm sorry, I wasn't at the meeting. So Randy, you attended part of the meeting, but then had to leave and were not part of any formal vote. Is that correct?
I had to recuse myself on at least 1 item, if not 2, where I had either neighbors, friends, where there was some conflict I had. Maybe it might have even been Sacred Heart. I don't remember what what was that particular one, but that's.
Yeah, it was Sacred Heart.
It was
when he
Sacred,
actually
yeah.
left the meeting.
Yeah.
Essentially, and Jake, you confirmed that was not a vote that was that he was in on, right? It was.
That's correct. He did not vote on it. He left the meeting prior to the vote, so we can
Right.
update that to say absent instead of abstention.
Yes, right. Okay. So it's a technicality, but it's more accurate that way.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank
That
you.
was the only thing I saw on either agenda that I had a question on. So with that change, we've got, is that okay with you, Randy, on the change?
I'm fine.
All
Yes.
right. Moved.
I'll move that we accept the minutes.
All right, well, I share a second. Randy moved it and, Randy, you can't move on both of them, right? Yeah.
I was just doing it on the second one. If you guys wanted to have somebody else do the first, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the minutes of December 28th. What was the date on that?
That was the
December 28th.
December 28th, yeah.
Right.
All right, all those in favor of the approving the minutes of December 28th as modified, say aye, or we'll go with roll call, please. Roll call?
Sure. Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Aye.
Commissioner Lamb,
Abstain.
Commissioner Lerner.
Yeah, you probably have your phone on too, Nancy.
Okay, I'll cut that on.
And lastly, Commissioner Narensec.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then
All right.
through the chair, the motion I heard was made by Commissioner Tonelli. Who was the second for that motion?
I'll be the second.
Thank you.
And then and then Randy for the minutes of January 27th.
Yep.
Anyone have any comments on those?
No,
All right.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded. Randy was first and Paul was the second. Roll call, please.
Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
Yes,
Commissioner Narensec.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Now the next portion of the agenda, which is the bulk of everything we're going to be doing tonight, is a public hearing. And I'll just want to go through the process that we'll use so everybody's up to speed on it. And I'll remind people that if anyone comes in later, I'll be going through it with them so everybody knows the process that we use. We start off with each item hearing from staff. Staff gives an overview of the item. And then the commission asks questions of staff that they need clarified before we open up the public hearing section. And then in the public hearing section, we start with the applicant or the applicant's representative. And then we bring it back to anyone else who wants to talk on the item. And then we'll go ahead and then close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate. We'll do that on every one. And I'll try to remind you along the way. Sometimes on the Zoom calls, everybody gets excited and starts jumping in when it's a closed portion of the meeting. So just keep in mind that we're trying to have everybody who's not on the commission speak when we're having a public section. And then when we close it, we bring it back to the commission for discussion. It's a little harder with this many people sometimes to know where everybody is because your screen may not have all the pictures of everybody on the screen. If you want to either use the chat to indicate that you're interested in talking, Jake, you'll be watching the chat, right? All right, yeah. You can do that or raise your hand either in the system, or if you're not in the system, raise your hand on the screen. I'll try to capture everybody because I'll use as wide a screen as I can. And then if you're on the phone, just come off of mute and indicate that you'd like to speak, and try to make sure that it's after somebody has stopped speaking. Or I'll try to pause after each speaker to make sure we see who needs to speak next. And if you've got a chance, you can if you know you want to speak on a particular item, and you can go ahead and put in the chat now and just indicate which item you want to be on, and Jake can sort of collect all that, because we have a number of people who are interested in the topics tonight. So with that, we'll start with the special structures permit at 207 Atherton Avenue, and we'll start with the staff report. Stephanie, are you on this one?
Jake is.
All right, Jake, go ahead.
Thank you. The item before you tonight, item 4A, is a request for a special structures permit at 207 Atherton Avenue. It's to allow for a detached accessory building, more specifically an office, to be allowed the same front setback as the main residence. The standard front setback for a detached accessory building is either 120 feet from the front property line or 30 feet behind the front of the main residence, whichever is less. Atherton Municipal Code allows the front setback for accessory buildings on flag lots to be consistent with the front yard setback of the main residence upon issuance of a special structures permit by the Planning Commission. The required front yard setback for the main residence is 60 feet. The project site at 207 Atherton is approximately 3.46 acre flag lot. The site is relatively flat. It is surrounded on all sides by other low density single family homes, and it sits behind one undeveloped lot. The property is developed with an existing main residence, a pool house, a swimming pool, a mechanical building, a pool equipment building, and a gym building. The applicant plans to construct a new detached accessory building, the office, which is associated with the request for a special structures permit before you tonight. The property is considered a flag lot, and the front property line is the western property line, which is the front property line shared with the undeveloped lot. The applicant requests a detached building with a proposed front setback of 60 feet, requiring the special structures permit. All other proposed side and rear setbacks and development standards shall be complicit with the Atherton Municipal Code. The closest property line is to the south and is a side property line, and the proposed building, if approved, will be 10 feet away, which is the standard side yard requirement allowed for accessory buildings. The applicant states there is currently existing bamboo landscape screening. The new building is also subject to the town's landscape screening ordinance to provide adequate screening. The existing and required landscape screening, in addition to the lowered single window proposed height intended to assist with the screening, from screening the building from the neighboring properties and neighboring properties. Planning staff finds the proposed garage location will not substantially impact neighboring properties with respect to privacy and view. The town arborist, Sally Ben-Salton, has reviewed the project plans and determined no on-site heritage trees would be negatively impacted by the construction of the detached garage at the proposed location, and recommends additional screening will be required to screen the proposed building from the neighboring property closest to the building. The proposed project does not require any heritage tree removal nor tree protection zone exceptions for trees on site. Should any neighboring tree protection zones be impacted by the location of the new building, the applicant would need to apply for and be granted a tree protection zone exception prior to issuance of the building permit. Planning staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the request for special structures permit in accordance with the Atherton Municipal Code and the attached conditions of approval based on the findings stated within the staff report. Notice of this application was mailed to all property owners within a 500 feet of the subject property. And to date, the town has received one public comment, which has been supplied to the Planning Commission just before this meeting. And I or the chair may read it into the record at the time of open public hearing. And the applicant team is present and available to answer questions as is staff. Thank you for your time, and I yield back to the chair.
And as you said, Jake, we'll read that into the record as soon as the applicant has finished their presentation. With that, then we'll go ahead and hear from the applicant. I can't tell who that is on the screen right here. Do you need it?
Ankit Solanki or Georgia?
I can. I'm Jim Westover with William Duff Architects, and I can. I think Jake gave a good description. This is basically an office for on-site estate management and maintenance. It's a one-story structure. It's going to be small and be compatible with the existing buildings. And the reason we're doing it in this location too is that it's adjacent to the house, which makes sense for maintenance. It's also adjacent to the existing garage, which there's existing supplies and things there. And also the other portions that don't require the special use permit are actually nicely landscaped gardens and things like that.
Okay. Anyone else, Jim, that's speaking on your team, or are we ready to open it up?
I think unless, I think we're good see if there's questions.
All right, good. Jake, I don't have I printed it out, but I don't see it in front of me. Would you read the comments we got on the mail?
Yes, I can do that. This comment was received today from Mr. Stephen Rossi. He states, "Good afternoon. Oh, he's here on the call. as well.
Stephen,
I'm
do you
here.
want- All right, Stephen, do you want to go ahead and talk about what you sent us? Because we all got
Sure.
it.
Just briefly, it's mainly a concern about the screening. First of all, we were wondering if it's possible to erect some story poles that would kind of demonstrate the mass and height of the proposed structure. From our perspective, it's going to be quite visible actually from the neighboring properties, both in the yard itself and from the second story. And I do see that the plans, are going to comply with the arborist requirements for screening, and that you spec 3 new trees, but there's no mention of size, height, species. And is there any understory screening that kind of fills the gap between the top of the fence and the under side of the tree canopy? And thirdly, I would disagree with the statement that the site already provides adequate existing screening of bamboo plants for privacy to the adjacent south neighbors. There's a huge kind of gap in there. So this property 10 feet away from the property line is going to be really noticeable. So we're hoping for basically some more robust screening to occur.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. And we also have your printed comment too.
Okay, great. Pretty much, I was pretty much referencing that. So it's pretty much, I think I covered everything in there.
Yes, you did. And thank you for coming live too.
And
Sure.
I may respond to some of those comments.
Yeah, let's see who else is. I want to make sure we hear from anyone who is going to probably comment, and we'll bring it back to you, Jake. Anyone else here to speak on this item? I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand. So I'm going to go ahead.
I'd speak.
All right. Okay, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that it will be really visible, but if they do put in added screening beyond what they propose, we would finally have their second story windows not always looking on me in my backyard. And I figure this is a good time to do it since they're already adding some trees and they want to add the structure.
All right, great.
Okay.
David, are you the owner at 211?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, then I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment section and bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate. Jake, you want to give some answers to some of the things that were brought up?
Yes. First of all, regarding story poles that were requested, as the Planning Commission knows, story poles are not required for any new development within the town of Atherton. And so that is the one statement I want to make there. And then the second one is regarding to the landscape screening requirements. The town does have a landscape screening ordinance, which is applicable to new buildings within the town of Atherton. And then I would like to defer to our town arborist, who's also on the call, who may be able to speak to that more directly of how
Can I ask a quick question?
We're off the public's comment right now, but let us have the discussion because that's what this section is for. Sally Bennett, are you on the screen somewhere?
Yes, I am.
All right, good.
So our minimum requirement for screening is a 24-inch box, and when the structure goes in, the screening has 5 years to screen. However, I can require larger box trees, more like a 36 to 48 inch size box tree for screening. However, I just want to let you know that will not screen. It would still take 5+ years for it to lower the impact of the building. We don't require instant screening in this town because our minimum is 24-inch box and we allow 5 years for it to grow, just to lessen the impact. But I can make note to require larger box trees for this site.
All right. I know that's been an issue on a number of these secondary type units that we've had, is that they although they comply, it takes a while for them to actually not show up. All right, any commissioners have comments on this one? Randy, you're on mute if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so a couple things. As everybody knows, I'm always about good neighbor. We have the architect. I don't know if we have the owner on, but this seems like a perfect opportunity for someone to say, David, what would you like to see in terms of screening? I know that just seems like a no-brainer, and Stephen too. I mean, you guys have different perspectives. You're on different sides, clearly, of the property, but let's just kind of do the right thing for everybody. So I don't think we should do a land grab because of whatever might have happened in the past. Let's just do what's right now. I agree with Jake on the story poles. It's never been part of our thing in Atherton, but I do think let's just solve this and move on if we can. I mean, the architect's on, so it's easy to open that up again. Eric, if you want to, and just say, hey, why don't we propose some more robust screening on this that may not take 5 years to get this done. I mean, there's plenty of fast growing plants out there that do this. I don't know on a 10-foot setback that a 48-inch box tree is the right idea either. I mean, that doesn't seem like the right thing. Yeah. Right? Maybe more landscape related, something that really blocks it. I haven't seen.
Right. More shrub related or something like that.
Yeah, shrub related or something else to be consistent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'll open it back up for Jim's comment as soon as I hear from the rest of the commissioners. Is there anybody else who'd like to say something?
No, I would agree with Randy. It's just from the standpoint of kind of working through this. And like you said, it's a great opportunity. And I had, I guess, a question for Jim, and just the process of the planning and thought behind putting this unit exactly where it is. I mean, it's a pretty good sized lot, and I'm just wondering what was taken into consideration.
Yeah, good question. I think that the biggest things were.
Let me go ahead and officially open up the public hearing. So
sorry about that, Eric.
Other people could respond to what you say, Jim. Go ahead. We're open. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think there were a couple things. Proximity to the garage, which also has equipment, supplies, and things like that should be readily available to the state management team. Also, we wanted to keep it sort of out of the sort of the main yard garden areas, and sort of group it with the driveway and the parking lot. So it made sense in that respect.
Okay, and kind of related to what Randy was saying, I'm of the opinion that if you're going to benefit on that side of the project, then there's got to be some concessions on the other side of the project to make sure that, as Randy said, we're keeping good neighbors and that we do the right thing and making sure this is amenable to both sides.
Yeah, I can start to comment that, but I think there's somebody from the estate management team who I'll want to confer that I'm make sure I'm not speaking for them. But our first sort of hurdle was to get through the special permit, the special structures permit. So what we haven't done is really designed all the landscaping. So that is still, I think, open to design. And I think Ray Gilday is on, but it seems to me that we can come up with something that will meet the, provide a bit more screening that is there now. And, something that's, I think I agree that tall trees aren't the solutions. It's something that's more shrub-like.
All right. Anyone else want to comment on the public side while I have it open?
Yeah, I don't think shrubs are going to do it. This is a big gap, and I see all their windows, which means they're watching me. I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. I think they need trees. I think they need the understory planting, and I think they really need to fill it in.
Well, I think that, oh, sorry, can I?
I guess you can, but I mean,
yeah.
Just saying it has to be close to the garage is silly.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay, so I don't want.
That's just silly stuff.
I want to make sure that everybody's talking to the commission rather than back and forth.
Yeah.
Stephen, did you have something you wanted to say on this? Go ahead. You're on mute, Stephen. You're on mute, Stephen.
There we go. Sorry. I just, basically to reiterate that an acceptable amount of screening, or maybe taking, David's opinion into account would be beneficial, and a combination of trees and understory large shrubs. Like I know English laurels are very popular for screening in Atherton. I don't know if that would work right there. But something robust above the fence line, like I said prior, fill
And
that
trees.
gap between, fill the gap between the top of the fence and the underside canopy of the tree.
Hey,
And ultimately, it's going to be beneficial to both parties, really.
Right.
So, our opinion, it's not much of an ask. It's a good neighbor gesture, and seems to be a reasonable request as far as I'm concerned.
All right, great.
Hey, Eric, can I add something? It just doesn't feel like this is baked yet. It's sitting in front of us. It doesn't feel like, other than with David feeling uncomfortable about the first and second floors, and I totally understand that as a neighbor. Shouldn't this just come back to us at some point when they do have a landscape plan so that we can get that done? I just don't think there's a ton of time we need to spend on this right now, given that that's a pretty high impact thing. And we've got 39 people, probably the biggest planning commission meeting of all time, on this call.
Let me close the public hearing first, so we can bring it back to us for discussion and action. Jim, you heard the comments, so we're going to bring it back to the planning commission, and I'm going to close the public hearing. And so Randy I agree with you from the standpoint of it's not fully baked. And I talked to Stephanie about that. I've had 3 or 4 projects where in the past of site plan to me included the plan for the visual mitigation. So their screening or whatever, that was all part of the plan, but because of the way we were set up to do it now, we do that. Does the house meet specs, setback and everything else? And then let's build it. And then, let's make sure we're doing something to mitigate the impact. And I'm feeling the same way, that I'd like to see it all part of the planning process up front. So we actually see, because we're getting more and more situations right now where we have a new structure that is taller than the last structure, closer to the fence than people are used to, and they're all compliant, but they're all also have impact. And 5 years is a long time to wait. And my own experience is that I've got trees that used to mitigate the side view, but now they're all so tall that they don't stop it anymore. So just make sure we know what we're asking for. Commissioners, any other commissioner comments?
Eric, this is Perry.
Yeah, Perry, go ahead.
So I agree with Randy and you, and just to put a hook on it, the code, section 17.15.040, specifically provides that a special structure permit will only be granted where, quote, among other things, the proposed building or structure will not negatively impact neighboring properties with respect to privacy and view.
Right.
So there hasn't been an affirmative showing by the applicant, who has the burden of satisfaction of that first condition. Not to prejudice the issue, but I agree with Randy that everybody should talk over there, come up with an agreement, and then that will permit the commission to make a finding with respect to that criteria.
All right. Nancy, you have anything?
I agree very much with what Perry just said. Otherwise, I can't add to that.
Paul, you got you're on mute, Paul. You're on mute.
No, I've already said my comments. I do think there's a solution here, and a great point by Perry there to refer back to the code.
Yeah, I think that, and Sally, just from your input, I think we're going to see more and more requests for us to have this be part of the front end of the process as much as we can, so we actually understand what we're approving from a total project standpoint, rather than, okay, the house is in the right place or the structure is in the right place, it's set back far enough, it fits all the criteria. Oh, and we know we're going to come up with a screening plan, but we don't. And I know I personally have experienced that myself. So It's just something that we probably need to sort of dial into the different, a little bit different process.
You know, hey, real quick, Eric, and just in reference to what Perry said about impact on neighbors and adversely affecting neighboring properties. I mean, when you look at the site plan, the thing that immediately jumped out to me is that a bulk of the construction on this particular site is on that one side of the property and on that property line. And I'm not saying that the recommended idea by me is to reposition the proposed site of this building, but there are a lot of options. And obviously the screening is one of them, but when you have a site that large and everything is abutted up to that one property line, I think you are affecting that neighboring property as Perry had referred to in the code.
All right, then with that, we're ready for a motion to either continue or deny. And it sounds more like we're talking about continuance than a denial.
Do we have to make a motion to continue it, or what do we?
Yeah, we have to make, go ahead, Stephanie, go ahead.
I may through the chair. To answer that question, yes, the staff would be asking for the commission to take action one of three ways, either approving the application as proposed and or as amended by commission vote. To secondly, could be to continue the item if the planning commission does by consensus take such action. I would recommend, if possible, to please provide some subsequent specific direction to the applicant's team as to what additional information may be necessary for the commission to feel that they have the appropriate information in front of them in order to make a decision tied back to those three special structure permit findings that Commissioner Narensek referenced previously. And of course, the third available action is for the commission to deny the application. And if such action is taken, it's further recommended by staff that a basis of statement as to how the application was found to not meet those three specific findings is made part of the record.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy to make a motion just that we postpone this.
Yeah, we
and
continue, we would continue it to a date specific
Yeah.
to the next meeting.
Or till staff feels that they've covered all the screening issues that are there, and that neighbors have met, and they're all holding hands and on the same page.
Well, I think that's more than we can require the applicant to do. So we can tell them that we're going to continue it to the next meeting, and it's brought back. If we determine there's not enough of a resolution there, then we can either approve or deny. So that would be the approach that we take, because it needs to come back. The applicant has the responsibility and basically the ability to bring it back to us on a date specific and say, this is our best case. And then we have to decide if their best case is good enough.
If I could add one more point, if there is a motion put on the table for a continuance to a date certain, just so that it's clear for all parties who are here at this meeting, if the application is continued to a date certain, then there is no requirement for the application to be re-noticed. So there would be no additional public notice mailed out to all property owners within 500 feet. However, if the application is continued to a date uncertain, once that meeting is scheduled, then a subsequent public notice will be mailed out to all property owners within 500 feet. So if it is in a motion of continuance, you have two ways to continue an item.
So let's go, then we go with the not specific driven by the applicant to bring it back, and then we get re-noticing for the neighbors. Does that work, Randy?
That's fine.
Yeah. All right. So is that a motion?
Yes.
Motion to continue to a date
Date uncertain. Right.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right. Randy is a motion and Paul second. Stephanie, can you give a roll call, please?
Yes, Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tinelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
Yes.
Commissioner Narensek.
Yes.
All right. We want to be clear that all we're trying to do here is make sure that there's more homework done, Jim, on the project, and just do what you can do to make sure that the issues are addressed. All right.
Yeah, understood. I think our clients prefer screening as well, so I think
Right.
we can address that fairly
Great.
easily and hopefully get some neighbor input as well.
Great. We'll see you soon then. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for participating, both Dave
Thank
David
you.
and Stephen. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, item B is a special structure permit at 234 Park Lane. We'll do the same procedure on this. We'll start with the staff overview, then we'll open it up for discussion with the applicant or their representative. Then we'll open up to everyone discussion. We'll bring it back and close the public session. So, and if we need to open it again, like we did last time, we'll do that. But we want to make sure that it's tight in terms of the process we're using. With that, Stephanie, can you give us the overview?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So tonight, the Commission is being asked to consider a special structures permit to allow a proposed basement to extend beyond the first floor of the main residence. So the property under consideration is located at 234 Park Lane. This is a corner lot that's slightly over 1 acre in area with future plans for a full site redevelopment. That does include a main residence as well as some other ancillary accessory structures and buildings. So part of the main residence plans, and actually I'm going to pause there, Jake, if you could please pull up page 3. Yep, thank you very much. And I'll walk the Commission and the public through these graphics that we see here on the screen. Part of the main residence plan does include a proposed 7,100 square foot basement as part, again, of the main residence. So the Atherton Municipal Code does include a series of provisions related to the construction of basements under the main house. This includes a requirement that that basement be located directly under the footprint of the first floor, with the ability of some minor, what I'll call encroachments or punch outs beyond that first floor footprint, but at a very low square footage, specifically at 140 square feet. Such encroachment could be approved at the staff level. However, the municipal code further goes on to state that you could go beyond that 140 square foot punch out beyond the first floor footprint upon issuance of a special structures permit by the Planning Commission. So that is a consideration before you tonight. So the applicant is proposing of that 7,100 square foot basement, approximately 1,451.9 square feet to extend out beyond the first floor footprint. And that 1,451 square feet is shown here on the screen. Starting with the top image, it encompasses both that peach and blue areas. The peach area is actually, and you can see in the isometric drawing underneath it, is 864 square feet of an outdoor loggia or covered patio of a proposed light well. So that's outdoor space, but that is covered. That other blue area is part of the enclosed building. Specifically, it's 587 square feet of the proposed subterranean enclosed parking garage. So in considering these types of special structures permits, unlike the special structures permit that the Commission just previously considered, the municipal code has 3 specific criteria in addition to the required findings that such a basement extension would need to meet. So those particular 3 criteria require that the total square footage of that basement not exceed 120% of the total floor area of the first floor. The second criteria is that that basement, a minimum of it, needs to be 75% located directly under that first floor footprint. And lastly, that the portions of the basement that are not directly under the first floor footprint shall only be allowed in areas where the extents are squaring off of the main building above. And so without getting into the specificities, as noted in the staff report, those 3 criteria are found to be technically met based on the plans proposed. So the town arborist has determined that the proposed site plan, including the basement area under consideration tonight by the Planning Commission, has not affected, or would not affect, I should say, excuse me, any negative impact to any on-site heritage trees. Combined with the location of this basement extension being located entirely within the main buildable lot area, existing landscaping and the proposed landscaping that would be required as any future building permit to be issued for both the main house and any accessory buildings and or structures. As noted in the staff report, staff does find that the application meets all of the required findings in order for the commission to consider granting approval, combined with the conditions as listed in the draft special structures permit that was attached to the staff report. Public notice has been mailed out to all property owners within 500 feet of the site. One item of support was received in writing by staff and was included within the Planning Commission staff report. I was also made aware by the project applicant earlier today that they did receive additional support from another neighbor verbally prior to tonight's meeting. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have. And I know there is a representative of the applicant's team here as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions of staff on this?
No.
The letter was included in the packet, or was it came in just after the packet was delivered to the public?
It was included in the packet as attachment 4.
That's what I thought. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that so everybody has seen it. All right, great. Any questions of staff? I don't hear any. I don't see any hands. Then we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for this item, and we'll start with the applicant or representative. All right, Stephen, you're up, it looks like. All right.
Excellent. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Stephen Summers with Crest Real Estate. I'm acting as the representative of the homeowner for the project at 234 Park Lane. Mike Kalesi, the project architect, is on this Zoom call as well. Stephanie did an excellent job presenting the project, so I'll keep my comments brief. I did want to note, as Stephanie mentioned, that we've received support in the form of a letter from the owner at 233 Park Lane, as well as verbally from 226 Park Lane. We haven't received any negative feedback in opposition to the project thus far. The project is well into the plan check process, with this special structures permit approval being really the main outstanding item. And I just wanted to reiterate that the scope of this request is solely based on the subterranean basement level. The above grade elements of the project are designed to be permitted fully by right. Ultimately, we are in complete agreement with the staff report, and hope that you will follow staff's recommendation to approve the request. I'm available for any questions.
Great. Any questions, Stephen? Stephen, I had a real quick question. Just it's not necessarily directly related to the application, but I just wanted to understand on the Peach side of the property where the dugout is built. Is there some kind of glass fencing or something that prevents people from just falling off the edge there? I couldn't see it in the plan I received.
You're referring to around the light well. There will be a guardrail
All right.
on that as required by building code in order to prevent.
All right. It wasn't directly part of the application, but I just wanted to double check because the plans I have isn't clear. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Not me.
All right. I'm not hearing anybody. Okay. Then is there anyone else here to speak on this item? Going once. All right, then I'll go ahead and close the public comment section and bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate.
I have no comments on it. I'm fine with it.
Same here.
And the only comment I would have is that I looked at the Google Maps on the home I was there and I go like, wow, somebody bought that to take it down. Okay, well, that's the way it goes usually. But it's a nice property there, and it's going to be a huge property that's going in. So, but I understand the owner has done pretty well, so that's good. All right, any other comments?
Nope.
All right, good. Then, well, I need a motion. I can make the motion. I move the Planning Commission approve the special structures permit at 234 Park Lane based on the findings and subject to the conditions listed in the draft special structures permit to allow for a section of the proposed main residence basement to extend beyond the footprint of the first floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Very good. Randy seconds. All right, we'll take a roll call.
Thank you. Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tinelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
Yes.
and Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stephen. All right, item number C, or letter C, is the heritage tree removal permit for 24 Hawthorne Drive. And we do have a lot of came in on this that we'll read later. But at this point, we'll go ahead with the same process. We start with staff overview, and then we'll open up for public comment. Stephanie, go ahead.
Thank you. So tonight, you are being asked to consider a heritage tree removal permit to remove one 29-inch Coast live oak heritage tree. So the site at 24 Hawthorne is slightly less than 1 acre in area, also has future full site development plans. So the site has 8 existing heritage trees, 2 of which are located in the main buildable area. Jake, if you could please pull up the site plan that was included in the attachment to the staff report. Thank you. So the tree proposed for removal is referenced as tree number 1 throughout the submittal documents. This image, blow it up a bit larger. Thank you. So the tree requested for removal is tree number 1. That's the peach tree that's situated here in the mid left side of the main building area. The main building area is that sort of square cross-hatched there in the middle of the plan. So a project arborist report has been submitted, noting that tree number 1 has poor to fair health, that it has been inundated from overwatering due to the surrounding lawn that encompasses it currently, and does have probability of failure. This report was reviewed by our town arborist as well as her inspection on site, in which she has noted that she concurs with the conclusions drawn by the project arborists. As part of the proposed removal, the applicants are proposing to replant 1 new 48-inch size box oak tree as a replacement. This replanting replacement does meet the minimum replanting requirements of the Atherton Municipal Code. So given the tree's noted high probability for failure, its location within the main building area, the other existing on-site heritage trees that are proposed to remain as part of the future site development, and combined with the existing landscaping as well as future landscape screening that will be required as part of any permit issuance for the main house, staff does believe that the findings to support removal as recommended in the staff report could be met, and that the Planning Commission approve the application subject to the conditions as listed in the draft heritage tree removal certificate. One item of public comment was received by the town after the packet has been distributed. Chair Lane, I'm happy to read that into the public record now, or if you wanted to wait until public open comment is happening, I'm happy to do it then as well.
Let's go ahead and do it when we open the public comment after the presenter presents. Any questions of staff?
None from me.
Great. Jake, can you go back to letting me see everybody's face so I know who's needs what? All right, thank you. All right, now we are open to hear from the applicant, whomever that is. You can wave your hand, or I can't. Oh, there you are, Jessica. All right, good. So I'll go ahead and officially open the public comment section, and you can go ahead. Jessica.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jessica Stunkel with Feldman Architecture. I'm the applicant. Stephanie did a good job. Unfortunately, the large tree sort of in the center of our buildable lot area is not in good health. I assume mostly because it's in the middle of what used to be a lawn area. The only thing to add is that that tree is also taking up with its tree protection zone, a large amount of the buildable area, making it nearly impossible to actually develop this lot to its full potential. So considering the other heritage trees on the site, we feel comfortable asking for the removal of this one tree.
Any questions for Jessica?
Just real quick, so, and looking at the plan, the oak across from that, number 2, I assume that's an oak, that will remain, is that the plan?
Yes, that is correct.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, great. Is there anyone here to speak on this item other than the applicant? I'll go ahead then and read this in. This is from Chris Clint. It said, to the member of the Planning Commission, my name is Chris Clint, and I live at 40 Irving Avenue in Atherton, not far from the subject property, which I walk by or drive by every day. I've read the Planning Commission staff report and application materials. I've identified the subject tree, oak number 1, and designated for removal, and can visibly see the leaves do not appear healthy. I do not object to the removal of that tree. I have a question about the beautiful oak tree identified oak number 2, recorded near the garage. It appears that the proposed residence will encroach up to 26 feet of canopy of that oak, invade the space 5 feet above the circumference. I noted that in my 46 years of living in Lindenwood, that many heritage trees are ruined by the excavation and basement of the new homes near the magnificent oaks. I hope that you will not approve the building of this residence's current design, which approaches 5 feet beneath the canopy of the tree, tree number 2. Thank you for serious consideration. Sincerely, Chris Clint. So I'm going to have a question for staff on that. Sally, on the last half of that comment on oak number 2, what are we looking at in terms of vulnerability there?
So they haven't applied. They're in the process of applying for the staff exception to 8 times. So I actually haven't reviewed it, but they are only asking for 8 times away, and that would include the OSHA cut or shoring would have to be 8 times away if I approve it. So I can't really give you an answer if I'm going to approve it or not because I haven't reviewed it. But considering that there was a garage only a few feet away from the tree, and now they're looking to pull it back much further than where the existing was located, then it gives them a better chance of getting the approval at 8 times. But I can't
the tree's
tell
gotten
you.
used to that, right? The tree's gotten used to the closer building, so farther away would actually help it, probably, right?
Yes.
As long as they don't overwater that one too.
So originally the applicant asked to remove number 2 and I denied the removal. So the applicant is working with the town to come up with a solution to preserve that tree. That's all I can say on that. So.
All right, great. Any other questions, Sally, on that? All right, thanks, Sally. All right, I'll close the public session and bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate. Anybody want to start on this one?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. It looks fairly straightforward to me, and I think, always thank Sally for her work and always put a lot of stock in her reports, and especially with her assessment of the health of this tree. So it sounds like it needs to go, and it looks like the site plan is also favoring saving a lot of the trees on the lot, which is pretty impressive.
I would agree with that.
Here, Perry, anything on this one?
Nothing, no comments. Thank you.
Nancy, anything?
Paul this time.
All right. Okay, great. I need a motion.
I'll move that the planning commission find that the proposed removal of one 29-inch, I guess oak tree is missing there, at 24 Hawthorne Drive would not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan for the reasons outlined in the staff report, and that the commission approve the tree removal subject to the conditions listed in the draft heritage tree removal certificate.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner.
Nancy, you might be on mute. Nancy, Commissioner Lerner.
I said yes. You
Okay, I
hear me?
didn't hear you.
Okay.
All right, great.
Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, very good. That passes. Thank you for coming. And Jessica, good luck on the project and save the other tree, okay, please. All right, great. Then we'll go on with item number D, which is another tree protection zone exception on 4 Bassett Atherton, and we'll do the same process. We'll start with the staff report, open up for the public comment with the applicant, and then we'll go from there on anyone else who wants to talk. And then we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate. All right, Stephanie, are you on this one or is Jake?
Jake will be presenting this item, Chair.
Yeah, once he comes off mute.
Great.
There he is. Okay, good.
Thank you. Item 4D before you tonight is a request for a tree protection zone exception, otherwise known as a TPZ exception, for 3 Heritage Coast redwood trees, 1 Heritage Dawn redwood tree, and 1 Heritage Coast live oak tree at 4 Bassett Lane. The TPZ exceptions are being requested to accommodate the construction of a new ADU, deck, and barbecue area. All 5 trees are located in the right and rear right corner of the main residence. The town's Heritage Tree Ordinance guidelines defines a tree protection zone as the designated protection area sufficiently large enough to protect a heritage tree and its roots from disturbance and/or damage. This area is to be free of construction and other disturbance activities unless otherwise allowed as adopted in the town's tree preservation guidelines standards and specifications document. In the case of these 5 heritage trees, the required TPZ is 10 times the tree's diameter, which equates to a TPZ distance of 35 feet 10 inches for tree 19, the coast live oak, closest to the front of the property and to the right of the main residence. 42 feet for tree 22, a coast redwood located in the rear right side corner and closest to the proposed ADU and deck area. 31 feet 9 inches for tree 23, a coast redwood located in the rear right side corner. 18 feet for tree 24, a coast redwood located in the rear right side corner, and 24 feet for tree 25, a dawn redwood located in the rear right side corner. The TPZ exceptions are being requested down to buffers between 3 times and 6 times the tree's diameter, resulting in the varying reduced tree protection zone distances of 19 feet for the ADU and 18 feet from the patio landscaping at the front of the ADU for tree 19, 20 feet for the ADU and 8 feet for the deck barbecue counter for tree 22, 15 feet for the deck and barbecue counter for tree 23, 10 feet for the deck and barbecue counter for tree 24, and 10 feet for the deck and barbecue counter for tree 25. The applicant team's project arborist prepared an arborist report with exploratory trenching to note the tree's existing conditions and opine on impacts anticipated from the construction of the ADU, barbecue, and deck area. In addition, such information has been reviewed by the town arborist. The project arborist observed the health of the tree to be good. The project arborist highlights that the proposed deck and landscaping areas within the pre-existing pool area on site, and no impacts are expected as no roots are to be encountered within the area of the redwoods trees number 22, 23, 24, and 25. And this diagram, that's the blue, green, purple, and red dots. An exploratory trench was dug for tree 19, that's the orange dot. The coast live oak, and no large roots were found in the area as well. The project arborist has recommended a series of mitigation measures should the TPZ exceptions be granted. Such recommendations have been incorporated into the draft tree protection zone exception certificate in order to support the trees before, during, and after construction. The town arborist notes that the 3 of the redwood trees 23, 24, and 25, that's the red, purple, and green dot on your screen, are healthy and would be able to tolerate construction impacts more so than trees under existing stress. The town arborist further indicates that the specifics of the application request for tree 23, 24, and 25 relative to review of all submittal materials and on-site inspection are found to support the criteria section 2.2 B2 B of the Heritage Tree Guidelines for Planning Commission consideration of approval, which states if the species is tolerant of construction based on species health, size, and age from a Thenny and Clark tolerance chart. Tree 19, the orange dot on your screen, at Coast Live Oak is requesting a TPZ exception down to 6 times the tree's diameter from the proposed ADU and a 5.75 times the tree's diameter for the proposed patio and landscaping area. The town arborist has determined that she can recommend a TPZ for 6 times for the ADU, but is unable to support a TPZ for 5.75 times for the patio and or for a planting area with irrigation as requested by the applicant, as she opines that such reduced distance will cause the oak's health to decline. And for this tree and surrounding associated improvements, the town arborist cannot recommend a TPZ exception less than 6 times the tree's diameter for any proposed improvements. For tree 22, the blue dot on your screen, a coast redwood, the applicant is requesting 2 different TPZ exception distances, specifically 5 times the tree's diameter for the proposed ADU and 3 times the tree's diameter for the proposed deck barbecue area. The town arborist has determined that that she can recommend a TPZ of 3 times for the proposed deck and barbecue, but cannot recommend the TPZ of 5 times for the proposed ADU as requested by the applicant, as she opines that there is already construction impacts due to recently existing pool, hardscape, and the proposed deck barbecue counter in the other side of the tree. For this tree, she cannot recommend a TPC exception less than 6 times the tree's diameter for the proposed ADU. Planning staff finds that the tree protection zone requests for the 3 heritage redwood trees, trees 23, 24, and 25, to be designated protection area sufficiently large enough to protect all 3 of these trees and their roots from disturbance and or damage, combined with related mitigation as supported by the town arborist. Further, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the tree protection zone exceptions for tree 19 and 22 with the condition that future plans be revised to demonstrate no less than 6 times the TPZ for the ADU and patio landscaping's construction for both trees 19 and 22, and no less than 3 times the TPZ for barbecue counter deck area for tree number 22 to allow for designated protection area sufficiently large enough to protect both of these trees and the roots from the disturbance and or damage, combined with related mitigation as supported by the town arborist. This condition is included in the draft TPZ exception certificate, attachment 1 of the staff report. Please note that the applicant team has worked with town staff to adjust the original proposed locations of the ADU, barbecue, and deck area. They have, in fact, shifted the development forward to mitigate for impacts to the 4 heritage trees at the rear. However, the changes will request the TPZ of 5 times the tree's diameter for tree number 2, and therefore disagree with the recommendation as it pertains to condition number 2 of the draft tree protection zone exception certificate. As such, the applicant is here on the call today and has prepared a presentation for consideration by the Planning Commission supporting their request. Notice of this application was mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property. To date, the town has received 1 public comment from the neighboring property at 2 Bassett Lane related to the potential construction impacts of the ADU. This comment has been provided to the Planning Commission for consideration prior to the meeting and can be read into the record. The applicant team is present and available to answer questions, as is staff. Thank you for your time, and I yield back to you, Chair.
All right, thank you. And Sally, can you opine? I love using that word since I haven't used it since my 9th grade vocabulary test. Can you opine a little bit on the 5 versus the 6 a little bit, so we have a little bit of your texture on it?
As the applicant stated, they would like to have the ADU at 5 times away. So the reason why I stated 6 times, because I'm following a best management practice of 6 times is recommended for a young, tolerant tree. So the redwood tree has a good tolerance, and I'm considering it young. So it is recommended that a TPC of 6 times is used. I'm also using that because it's new construction. So so maybe I would consider it if it was existing or if they were adding an addition, but it isn't absolutely new construction. Also, I'm recommending 6 times is because there's already going to be impacts on the other side of the tree. So this is encroaching further on another side of the tree. And when you go less than 6 times, then you're just encroaching further on the tree. You're getting closer to the critical root zone. So that is why I recommended 6 times besides the 5 times.
And the code, the normal would be 10 times, correct?
So the code, yeah, the code is 10 times, and then people can apply for a staff exception to 8 times.
Right.
Anything lower than 8, they can apply here.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you. Any questions of staff?
So just real quick for Sally. So any tree that is not approved for an exception then would be at 8 times. Is that correct? Any of these trees?
Well, they would still need to apply for the exception to 8 times. So
That exception would be approvable by you though, correct?
yes, but in this case, I'm already approving 6 times.
Okay.
So they wouldn't need to go back to me because I'm stating that tonight I could grant 6 times.
Okay.
So it seems to me that at least from listening to Jake and the staff report and a little bit of what you've just said, that that there's been some back and forth here and trying to determine what is best for the site.
Yes, so they have been working with town staff. I mean, we're talking about the redwood is a pretty large tree, and the oak tree. That's it. Tree number 19 is actually an oak tree. I think it was wrong in the staff report. I mean, trying to maneuver this building in between 2 large heritage trees.
Right.
So the way I look at it is, if our standard is 10 times and I'm allowing them to put a building, or recommending that they put a building 6 times from each of these 2 heritage trees. And I'm basing that based on a standard. If I go lower than that in this case, because it's a new building and because we're dealing with multiple heritage trees and multiple TPZ zones, then I don't have anything to back myself up on.
Right.
But I mean, they're showing that they didn't find roots in that area. But I would still say that I would still recommend the 6 times, just because the 6 times is a standard, and it's still encroaching on that side. And it's new construction, so.
And it's slab too, right? Or is it raised floor?
It's slab. I'm pretty sure it's slab, which is better.
Okay.
So, and then would you foresee any difficulties in enforcing the different exceptions that are proposed within this site plan and the number of trees that are involved?
No, because it would just be, when I do the plan check through the building department, it would just either, if they didn't show on the plan what you guys approved tonight, then it would get denied.
Okay.
So.
All right. Any other questions of the commission to the staff?
None for me.
None for me. Thank you.
Jake, we're probably going to need that map back up in a minute, but I need to see the grandstand here. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open the public comment section, and we'll open it for the applicant or the representative.
Hi, thank you, commissioners. My name is Megumi. I'm representing our homeowner and the design team for this project. Jake, would you mind sharing the screen? We put together some slides just to kind of talk you through our process as we approached how we were locating this ADU. This is the original site that our clients moved into, the existing conditions. There was an existing pool very close to trees 22, 23, 24, and 25. And tree 19, the front of the property was covered in ivy with a fence kind of abutting tree 19. So if you flip to the next slide, Jake. You can see that there is a significant shed, pool equipment shed, built very close to tree 22 in the upper right-hand photo. The left-hand photos show how the existing pool was right up against trees number 22, 23, 24, and 25. And in the bottom right, you can see the existing conditions of tree number 19 with a fence very close to its trunk and the whole root zone covered in ivy. Next slide, please, thanks. So this is the existing site now after our clients have done some initial site improvements. They were drawn to the existing trees on the site, and as you can see, they've managed to preserve and improve conditions for all heritage trees on the site. Next slide, please. There's tree 22 and 23 without the existing pool. There's tree 19 without the ivy that was suffocating its root zone. All of the trees on the site are very important to our client, and in developing the site plan, they considered the trees very carefully. Next slide, please. This is our proposed site plan. Our clients are looking to build a pool in their backyard as well as a guest house on the south property line. While it seems that there's a lot of space around the site, we did study the site very carefully with the arborist. Next slide, please. As you can see, there's, even though the northeast corner of the site also appears open, that area is also affected by the TPZ zones of neighboring redwood trees and oak trees. In walking the site with our arborist, KLT arborist, we determined that the location on the south property line for the ADU shown in blue was the best location because of the previous site impacts to those trees with the existing pool, which we removed, as well as the a location that caused the least disturbance to the site, seeing as it's closer to the driveway, less of the site would be torn up during construction. Next slide, please. We just overlaid in yellow the same footprint of our ADU in the northwest or northeast corner, and you can see that it also overlaps with many of the TPZ zones of the neighboring trees. Next slide. So this is our TPZ application, and while it looks pretty complicated, we wanted to point out with the next slide that these trees did in fact have significant prior construction. You can see this pool shed was located in the same area as our ADU. Next slide, please. And really, this slide shows what we're seeking to get from this Planning Commission hearing. Sally has approved the work under 22, trees 23, 24, and 25. She's also approved the 6x application for tree number 19 at the bottom. What she hasn't approved for us is the 5 times TPZ request that we made, which is the blue circle shown around tree 22. And given her current approval, our ADU as designed oversteps that approved TPZ zone by 3 feet and 8 inches. So it's not, you know, the total square feet of the building that overlaps is 23 square feet. And the blue hatched area is a slab on grade, which is for the pool equipment shed. So that's not a foundation. We worked with our structural engineer to minimize the depth of the foundations for this building, and it only goes down 2 feet. So it's not significant excavation for the site. And furthermore, next slide, please. We did some exploratory trenching. This is the trench at the pink line, as you can see on the plan, along that side of the building ADU. No roots larger than 2 inches were found in this trench, and that affects the oak trees below. And so seeing these photos, Sally gave us approval for 6x. Next slide, please. Sally, Sally has not seen these photos as we had dug this trench this morning prior to the Planning Commission hearing. But our arborist, Kevin Kilty, who's also on this call, had gone to the site to check out this trench, and he noticed only one redwood root, even though there's others that belongs to the Japanese maple. One redwood tree root, 1.5 inches in diameter. And he feels that this location for the ADU would not affect tree 22 very much at all. So, Kevin, I don't know if you want to add anything to this.
You might be on mute, Kevin. I can't see you because of the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, did you want to say something? Got your tech support there, Kevin, huh? Okay, good.
Thank you, Kevin.
Your volume's down, Kevin.
Oh, no.
Kevin, we still can't hear you. Kevin, we still can't hear you because either your volume's down, you're off mute, but your volume might be too low. Maybe your mic's not plugged in. You may not have said yes to the question on the way in to use your microphone. There's a question on the way in that says, do you want to use your microphone on the call?
If I may, through the chair, Mr. Kilty, if you can hear me, there's also a phone number that you could dial in that will also allow the audio to be heard from all the parties on the Zoom call. The phone number is on the front of the agenda. I can also put it in the chat.
Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and get input from others, and I'll come back to you while you guys sort it out. All right?
Good call.
You might have to call back in or log back in, and then just say yes. Do you want to use the computer microphone? All right.
Thank you. So in the meantime, Sally has not seen these trench photos, and I don't know if that would help persuade her in her recommendation for allowing 5 times the tree protection zone exception for tree 22. But Jake, if you would mind going back 2 slides. The planning department has approved all of our requests for the TPZs for all trees except for this small area shown in red and blue, which is the 5 times TPZ that we were requesting.
And why, this is Eric Lane, why did you decide to put the pool equipment right there?
Oh, the blue, you're talking about the blue?
Yes.
Um,
I'm asking, usually we don't have the pool equipment that close to it, to the fence line, but.
Oh, sure. We could potentially relocate the pool equipment, but the red of the ADU footprint, yeah.
Right. That's why I was asking. Yeah.
It's definitely outside of it.
Yeah. That seems all the noises for the neighbors to hear. Is that what? All right. So we'll come back to you once Kevin gets logged back in. All right. Is any questions of the for right now?
No, I think personally, I think it looks great. I mean, thank you for doing that level of work on it, and we're into the tree. So the fact that you were able to do that and show kind of, I mean, assume Sally is okay with what she sees. It certainly helps in terms of kind of everybody hopefully being from Missouri, which is the show me state.
I was born there, so I can tell you firsthand.
I know. That was for you.
All right, is there anyone else to speak on this item? Jay, can you come off of that so I can look at the screen for everybody?
Yes.
Thank you. I like that screen, so we're gonna need that screen again. Kevin, you're back on mute on your computer, so maybe if you take the mute off, you'll be okay. There you go. I'm back on the screen or on the bottom left where it says where your microphone is. Hit that to see if that turns you back on. There, now try it. Yeah, you're still not there. Boy, I wish I'd had this when you were on staff.
Let's
All right.
just go ahead. I mean, I see. I'm sure he's going to support what was said by Megumi.
Right.
So, I mean, unless it's contested with
Right.
Sally,
We'll come back to him if you need it.
Yeah.
And, he can chat his way in too.
Yeah.
And Jake, can you chat with him and see if you can help him if you can? All right. Anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing, waiting for Kevin to come back in if he needs to, but I think we know what he's going to say, particularly after we saw the pictures. So forgive me, that was helpful to have those pictures. I'm going to close the public hearing with my
presentation. Thank you.
And bring it back to the commission for discussion and action as appropriate.
Assuming I'm fine with what I saw. And again, to Megumi and everyone that did the work out there, thank you for showing that. Relative to what I saw, I think they've done a great job in terms of getting out and doing the analysis on those trees. And I appreciate what the work is. I think that's probably one of the best presentations we've seen.
Barry, anything on this one?
I agree with Randy.
Right. Paul?
I agree with Perry.
What?
Oh, yeah, write this down.
What? Yeah.
Nancy, there you are. Nancy, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm along with all y'all.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, I'm comfortable. Actually, this is one of the few times, Sally, where I'll bring it back to you, Sally. Do those pictures help your thinking at all?
I'm going to stay with my 6 times recommendation.
All right. Yeah. Well, I have a question about the Stephanie, the pool equipment location.
Eric, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now turn off your phone so you.
Here we go. Okay,
your phone is echoing through the microphone.
Anyway, I was out at the site today.
Yep.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go.
Ask them if they can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we go. We got you up as Debbie, but we can hear you. He's not qualified to fly this plane. Kevin, if you got anything to say, get it now, or else we're going to continue going. All right, we're going.
You guys hear now?
Yeah, you go. Got it. We can see you and hear you. Go for it.
I don't know what's wrong.
All right, you're on. Go. We can hear you.
Sorry.
God damn it.
You have the email that it came with?
Go for it.
Poor Bassett. Just look up poor Bassett.
I don't have your email.
He doesn't realize that he's actually on.
I know.
Kevin, you're on. We can hear you.
Kevin.
Anybody have his text number? Anybody have a cell number that you can just text them?
All right, let's go. All right.
Yeah, let's just go ahead.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Mute him, Jake, so he doesn't disrupt the meeting.
Can I ask a question in case I want to jump in and make the motion? Was there anything in the motion or Eric, did anybody have any comments before I say anything?
Yeah, the only thing I say, Sally, I like your commitment on this, and I do appreciate it. Couple things, I don't like the look. As long as we can move the pad on the pool equipment, I think we should move it. Because one, it reduces the impact area, and two, it helps the neighbor who doesn't have to listen to it. I thought we were putting the equipment away from the neighbors these days rather than next to them.
Through the chair, the pool equipment is required to be at least 10 feet away from any property line. It's not considered a part of the ADU itself, and so it would be subject to the development standards for accessory structures and buildings, which require a 10-foot setback requirement from any side or rear property line.
Yeah, but in this case, it's also in the tree area. So from my standpoint, if we could move that equipment, it reduces the impact on the tree area to an even smaller amount. What's the square footage on the red area? Look at me. You know
It is, yeah, it's 23 and a half square feet.
All right. So, I think the combination for me, the combination of the fact there are no roots there and mitigating that, I'm comfortable with as long as we move the pool equipment.
Okay, then let me ask a question on the motion base, Jake, in terms of this, the motion is the motion correct based on what's on your report, or is there anything that we would change based on what we all talked about?
You can make a motion that is consistent with what's on the staff report, but you would need to make an amendment to condition number 2, as stated in the draft Tpz exception certificate. That would more likely state that you support the tree protection zone exception at the 5 times the Tpz exception for tree number 22. Yeah, does that sound right? Stephanie, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, if I could actually piggyback on that. If we're to go to page 7 of the staff report,
Yes.
Looking at the draft formal motion,
Yes.
from what I'm hearing of the commission, if the commission is comfortable with the 5 times TPZ for tree number 22 as it relates to the proposed ADU, then I would recommend you read the formal motion as written. However, you will strike, let's see, 1, 2, 3,
Fourth line.
fourth line. Towards the end of that sentence that says tree number 22 to 6 times the tree's diameter for the proposed ADU.
You're not striking it, you're saying it to 5 times. Right?
Yes, 5 times is fine.
But
yeah.
the motion, so that, let me just read through it because I think I got, unless anybody else wants to do it.
One more thing, I forgot to read
Your equipment area, I got it.
And then to conclude my response to your question in terms of any additional amendments, would also be recommended to amend condition number 2 of the draft TPZ exception certificate within attachment 1 and strike the reference to a minimum of 6 times TPZ for tree number 22 for the proposed ADU.
I thought we already did that.
That was for the motion, but we would recommend that you also strike that reference within attachment 1 of the draft special.
Okay. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but let's just try.
Randy, hold on 1 second. I didn't read the letter that we received, so I want to make sure everybody hears the letter because it does address some other issues we haven't talked about. This is from Douglas and Joyce Hamilton. And it's about the 4 Bassett. They're requesting 3 additional items. They said paint the metallic roof of the 40 by 40 ADU structure that faces 2 Bassett Lane lot. Proposed shiny metal color matches that of the main house roof. It looks industrial and it's out of character with the residential neighborhood. And it's particularly unpleasant when viewed from our number 2 property, as commented on by several of our guests. And number 2 is either plant a screening hedge or B, install a lattice similar to the form on the top of the 1.5 feet of the new boundary fence between number 4 and number 2, both in a total height of 15 feet, i.e. an additional 78 feet on the new hedge fence height, and equaling the ridgeline height of the planned due structure extending from the northwest of that structure for approximately 20 feet to Heritage Oak 19. This would serve to screen the view of the number 4 improvements between the main house and the plan to do from the number 2 yard. And 3, during construction of the planned number 4 yard improvements, make special care to control construction dust blowing on number 2 yard, lily ponds, former swimming pool, and line ponds, since lily blooming season will be starting in a month or so. So that was a comment that was submitted from 2 Bassett Lane at Douglas and Joyce Hamilton. I wanted to make sure those are new items that we hadn't brought up. And so a real quick question for Sally on the mitigation measures that they've talked about. Or what are we doing on the mitigation of this building, as we talked about on the earlier one?
I mean, this is a standard size building, correct? So then the heritage tree ordinance, I mean, the landscape screening ordinance would be, it would just be our standard screening, which is 24-inch box size tree or shrub. Unless there's something special about this site, we would just go with the standard.
Right. All right, and the roof is compliant with our code, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yep, that is correct. We don't have any specific material requirements within the municipal code that would state how it should be proposed. So this is more of a like a neighbor request of the architect.
Right. I just want to make sure that was clear on the record. All right, with that then, Randy, you're ready for whatever you wanted to propose.
Perry's the attorney. I should probably have him do it because he was probably paying more attention than I was. But
Don't screw it up, Randy.
I know. That's why I'm saying to it now you got me going here. All right, I move that Planning Commission find the exception to the tree protection zone (TPZ) for 5 heritage trees. Tree 23 to 5 times 5x the tree's diameter. Tree number 24 to 6 times 6x the tree's diameter. Tree number 25 to 4 times 4x the tree's diameter. Tree number 19 to 6 times 6x the tree's diameter for the proposed ADU and proposed patio landscaping, and tree number 22, and then I think I'm saying to 6 times 6x the tree's diameter, which we're striking and converting to 5 times 5x the tree's diameter for the proposed ADU. And for, I think it said, was it addendum 1 or exhibit 1, Stephanie? And 3 times 3x the tree's diameter for the proposed barbecue counter deck for the property at 4 Bassett Lane would not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan for the reasons outlined in the staff report, and that the commission approve the TPZ exception at 4 Bassett Lane subject to the conditions as listed in the draft TPZ exemption certificate, period. I would add also, per Eric, that the pool equipment area be the 23 square feet of pool equipment area be relocated. I don't remember exactly how far it was away in accordance with the setback requirements for the town. How'd I do?
Very good.
Oh.
Yeah, I think Perry is ready to give you the bar exam.
Perry, were you holding your breath?
I'm still holding it.
Yeah, good.
Great job.
The real test will be if Perry seconds it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a dare. I will second that.
Moved and seconded. Any comments before we vote? All right. That was the most compelling presentation Kevin has ever made.
Yes.
To this commission. All right. So with that, then we need a roll call.
Thank you. Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
Yes.
and Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good presentation, Megumi.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and Megumi, the extra work on the secondary pictures was critical because I wasn't for this until I saw the secondary pictures.
Yeah, good job. Really good job.
And Kevin was going to speak a lot too. So.
All right, good, Kevin. All right, Kevin, good work on that. I know you were out there with a pick doing it this morning. I know you were. All right, with that then, thank you for waiting also. And speaking of waiting, thank you for the next item on item E, heritage tree removal permit and tree protection zone exceptions. So we're all warmed up on both now at 133 Burns Avenue. We will do the same process where we hear from staff and then hear from the applicant and then hear from anyone else who would like to speak on the item. With that, who's up on this, Stephanie or Jake?
This one is me as well. Thank you.
Oh, Jake, it's big Jake night. All right, go for it.
Thank you. Item 4E is a request for a heritage tree removal permit, also known as an HTR, and a request for a tree protection zone exception, also known as a TPZ exception, for the property at 133 Burns Avenue. The requested HTR is for the proposed removal of one on-site heritage coast live oak tree, tree number 5, and the requested TPZ exception is for 2 heritage coast redwood trees. The tree number 2, tree number 2, the deodar cedar is located at the front left portion of the property. Tree number 5, the heritage tree, the coast live oak that's being proposed for removal, is located at the rear of the proposed garage van port. And tree 17 and 18, the 2 coast redwoods, are at the right rear of the property, closest to the overlap of the tree protection zone. The HTR and TPZ exceptions are being requested in order to allow for a proposed single-story addition to an existing single-story main residence, which consists of an addition for increased living area, an attached garage, attached carport, and new driveway. The applicant is also proposing 2 new accessory buildings, a gym and a new detached ADU at the back corners of the lot. Starting first with the heritage tree removal, the applicant requests the removal of 1 on-site heritage coast live oak tree located just outside of the main buildable area near the rear setback line. The applicant has highlighted that over half of the site and buildable area is impacted by heritage trees and their associated required tree protection zones of 10 times the tree's diameter. The applicant team has identified the removal of the coast live oak to allow for the proposed design of the garage and van port area, as well as to protect and avoid further impacting as well as to protect and avoid further impacts to other on-site heritage trees. The tree is not considered dead nor dangerous, and therefore the request to remove the heritage tree is subject to the review and determination by the Planning Commission. The applicant team's project arborist prepared an arborist report and indicates tree number 5 as being in fair condition with good form and poor structure. He further indicates the tree has 3 stems, a 15-inch, 17-inch, and 19-inch for each one, and is shaded by a stand of larger redwoods. The town arborist has visited the site, met with the project arborist and applicant, reviewed the submitted arborist report, and prepared a memo. She notes that tree number 5 has 3 stems, it's in good form, fair structure, and in good health. The town arborist notes that with exploratory trenching, a staff level TPZ exception of 8 times or 15 feet away may be able to be considered for approval. She further opined that the removal of even 1 stem may cause the tree to go into shock. She does not find the tree to be dead nor dangerous and does not recommend the removal of the tree. Staff is not supportive of the removal of the coast live oak tree from this property due to its good form and fair structure. The tree is not dead, dying, nor determined to be dangerous, and is not likely to result in possible damage to private property should it remain in the opinion of the town arborist. As such, it is planning staff's professional opinion and the removal of the heritage tree would be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan and zoning ordinance. Moving over to the requested tree protection zone exceptions. The tree protection zone exceptions are being requested for 2 heritage coast redwood trees, trees 18 and 19, to accommodate the addition of the main residence at the rear right corner. And there's a TPZ exception for tree number 2, the heritage deodar cedar, which would accommodate the location of a new driveway at the front left of the property. As explained in the last item, the town's Heritage Tree Ordinance Guidelines defines a tree protection zone as the designated protection area sufficiently large enough to protect a heritage tree and its roots from disturbance and or damage. This area is to be free of construction and other disturbance activities unless otherwise allowed as adopted in the town's tree preservation guidelines, standards, and specifications document. In the case of these 3 heritage trees, the required TPZ is 10 times the tree's diameter, which equates to a TPZ distance of 45 feet for tree number 2, 36 feet 8 inches for tree 18, 17 feet 4 inches for tree 19, and the Tpz exceptions are being requested down to buffers between 3 times and 6 times the tree's diameter, resulting in varying reduced TPZ distances of 13 feet, the TPZ for the proposed driveway for tree number 2, 22 feet TPZ for tree 18, and 11 feet for the TPZ for tree 19. The project arborists observed the health of tree number 2, the deodar cedar, to be fair to good, and the 2 coast redwoods trees number 18 and 19 to be fair. The applicant team has highlighted that the proposed construction of addition encroaches into the required TPZ by less than 15% for trees 18 and 19. The project arborist prepared a series of recommendations should the construction work occur within the requested TPZ exceptions, including fertilization with biofungicide and biostimulant twice a year for up to 5 years, and for driveway improvements which encroach into the TPZ, the applicant is to use a geogrid driveway material to reduce excavation necessary for driveway base material. This was also included in the staff report as an attachment. The town arborist has visited the site, reviewed the project's arborist report and the project plans prepared by the applicant showing the requested TPZ exceptions. The applicant team has worked with the town staff to revise the plan set to mitigate potential impacts to the on-site heritage trees. As such, the plans have been revised to reduce and alter the location of proposed footprints to the proposed addition, to the detached accessory buildings, and to the driveway. Sally notes that all 3 trees are healthy and would be able to tolerate construction impacts more so than trees under existing stress. And she further indicates that the specifics of the application request relative to her review of all submittal materials and on-site inspection is found to support the criteria section 2.2B2B of the Heritage Tree Guidelines for Planning Commission consideration of approval, which states, if the species is tolerant of construction based on species health, size, and age from the Metheny and Clark tolerance chart. The town arborist is recommending approval for all 3 TPZ exceptions requested with recommended conditions, given that the redwoods can handle more construction impacts, the low percentage of root zones affected by the scope of proposed construction, and the nature of the proposed addition being less impactful than if construction was contemplated in other areas of the lot containing other heritage trees. The series of town arborist recommendations are included in attachment 1 draft TPZ exception certificate. Planning staff recommends that the Planning Commission deny the request for a heritage tree removal permit in accordance with Atherton Municipal Code and the attached conditions of approval based on the findings stated within the staff report. Planning staff further recommends that the Planning Commission approve the tree protection zone exception request for all 3 heritage trees as they are found to be designated protection areas sufficiently large enough to protect all 3 of the trees and their roots from disturbance and or damage combined with related mitigation as supported by the town arborist. Notice of the application was mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property. To date, the town has not received any public comment or inquiries regarding the application. The applicant has also conducted some of their own public outreach and is available to present and answer any questions as a staff. Thank you for your time. I yield back to the chair.
All right, thank you. Would you point out the tree on the map one more time?
Yes. So the tree marked for removal is tree number 5, this coast live oak here. There it is. Just to the rear of the garage and the van port being proposed.
Okay. All right. Okay. There's a redwood with an X on it in our packet. Is that's already down or going down? I mean, I went to the property and I was having a little bit of difficulty tracking some of the pictures with the narrative. This one here has an X on the tree that's next to 5. I just want to understand where that is on the map.
Next to 5, I can defer to the applicant who may be able to speak to that more directly. For the tree on site is physically marked with a red X.
Sally, do you know what?
Yeah, Jake, can you pull up the plans again?
Yes.
So it's my assumption that it's the circle with the X right here where the garage is close by, but.
That's what I thought. Oh, I see. Yeah, I got it right there. Okay, that's,
Yeah.
I couldn't find.
And those, because they were in the main buildable area, they were allowed to be removed.
Got it. All right. That's why I kept on trying to figure out how that fit into the new plan. Thank you. I couldn't spot it. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other questions of staff? Okay, then we'll go ahead and I'll open up the public hearing portion, and we'll start with the applicant or the representative. Laura, is that you? Laura May?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura May Cerisi, here representing Pacific Peninsula Architecture. And I just wanted to, I mean, obviously Jake gave a good summary of everything we're looking at. There's kind of a lot of different parts on this site that are sort of moving. But one thing I wanted to just emphasize is that, you know, this property has 20 heritage-sized trees that are kind of all around. There's that really nice grove of redwoods at the rear yard. And then most notably at the front yard is the nice big cedar, which obviously has a lot of presence from the street. And so even in my letter, narrative letter to you guys, I mentioned that, you know, from the get-go, the Bealers have been interested in keeping all the nice trees on site. But they're also, this is a remodel and addition project. And so we're trying to keep it as a single story structure, kind of keep it, you know, in keeping with the neighborhood. There's not a lot of 2-story structures in the neighborhood. They're not looking to overbuild the site, but it's going to be their family home. And so this sort of layout that allows for a central courtyard in the middle for their entertaining space works really well with their, for their family. And, you know, because it's an addition and remodel, you know, the bedrooms are already set up on that right side of your screen. So the logical place for the garage is on this left side of the site. And so we're asking for this removal because this oak, although it's an oak and it's in okay shape, it's an outlier oak in this beautiful, you know, grove of redwood trees at the rear of the yard. And we don't feel like it's that removing it would reduce screening to neighbors or really affect the presence of the lot from a neighbor perspective off the lot. And so the other thing is, you know, we worked with town staff on making some adjustments to footprints to try and, you know, get these the accessory structures out of the TPZs. And also, you know, Sally had noted that we could shift the garage forward to increase our offset from this tree if we were to keep it. But the thing to note there is that if we move the garage forward, I have it as a dashed line in this diagram, which I don't know if you guys zoom in, you can see. But essentially that starts, the more we move the garage forward, we start to encroach on the cedar more. And that cedar is such a dominant tree on the streetscape that I would think that it would almost be worse to hurt that tree than to remove the oak in this case. So I know oaks are obviously protected, and it's unfortunate that this one ended up being right on the edge of that the main building envelope. But that's essentially the reason for our request. So that's it for me. Oh, and then I also wanted to just mention, sorry. So we did do our own noticing to neighbors, you know, neighbor outreach, and we only heard from 2 neighbors. Actually, I don't know if Jenny Bealer's on the call too. She might want to comment, but we had 2 neighbors that gave support at 49 McCormick and 145 Burns Ave. So that's the neighbor to the right of our project. And then the flag lot neighbor kind of kitty corner to our ADU, where the ADU is proposed.
All right,
So,
good. Thank you. All right,
sure.
any questions of the applicant? I just wanted to, you're comfortable with the TPZ approvals, or you're comfortable with all those? The only thing you're not comfortable with is the number 5 tree, is that correct? Laura May?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking Sally. Yeah, so I think we've already been working with Sally, and it seems like she was in support of all of our TPZ exceptions. You know, we sort of worked to get the structures out as far as she requested, but the removal was the one remaining item that
Okay.
we were.
I just confirmed it.
Technically, we still need planning commission approval on all those TPZs as well, but I know that Sally supported those already.
All right. I just wanted to double click to make sure that you're okay with those approvals.
Yep.
All right, Jenny, did you want to say something?
I know it's been a long meeting, so I just want to say my husband Charles and I and our 3 kids were excited to be moving to Atherton after 21 years in neighboring Menlo Park. And so, you know, from first meetings with Pacific Peninsula, we've been really adamant that we kind of maintain, we love the street, we love the single story, we love the trees. And so they've really worked with us to just try to maintain the look and feel of the site and of the street. So thank you so much for your time and consideration. And I think that's it. I had 21 years in Menlo Park. And before that, I grew up in Kansas City, a block from Missouri, the Show Me State. So
oh, that Kansas
nice
City.
to hear a reference. Yes. Prairie Village.
You're welcome. You both are welcome. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for waiting also. Is there anyone else to speak on the item? The public? All right. With that, I'll go ahead and close the public comment section and bring it back for discussion and action as appropriate with the commission.
Eric, after hearing from Laura May, I did have a question for Sally, if we can reintroduce her
All right. Yeah.
into the conversation.
Yeah.
And so Sally, in reference to what Laura May said about the cedar in front and possibly proposing to move that garage forward, is there a way to kind of, you know, split things here and save both trees? I mean, would moving that garage forward really affect the cedar in an adverse way?
I don't think so, but Jay, can you pull up the plans?
Yes.
I mean, it would depend on how much further they wanted to pull it up. I'm not sure what that design would look like, but they could possibly pull it up to 8 times the TPZ zone, and the tree would be fine.
Which is what, that's the second dotted line in?
Yeah, it's 10 times. The 10 times is the furthest one, then 8 times is the second one in.
So the issue there, this is Laura Megan, the issue there is then the backup space required for a car to exit the garage. We would then, I think Sally was saying to maintain 3 times the tree diameter for the driveway. So if we move the building forward 3 feet, then the driveway needs to move as well. So that you can actually pull out of the garage. So then that starts to infringe on the seat. That was.
And for the record, I allowed the public hearing to open up for Laura May.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. I knew what was happening. Anyone else like to speak on it before we bring it back to the commission and close the public hearing? All right, then I'll bring it back to the commission and we'll close the public hearing.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. It's harder on Zoom to maintain the feel of it. All right. So yeah. All right. Any other comments?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't like that tree. I mean, it does. In spite of the fact it's healthy, it does seem like it's in the wrong spot. But I don't have a rule reason to allow the knocking of it down. Sally, there's no root encroachment under the that would be an the roots are there already, right? I mean, there's nothing stopping it for right now, or is part of the house in the zone now? Sally?
You mean when they want to build on to the?
No, I mean, right now, there's nothing around that tree that would be like a previous construction, right?
There wasn't a garage there before. Yeah, all of this garage area is new construction.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I appreciate the fact it was of all the homes I looked at and went out to on this drive this weekend. This is the one I could actually see without looking through the little slot in the gate. So, and it was I always joke that if you see a rancher in Atherton, it's basically on its last leg. So the fact that it's going to stay one story, I like that. I'm just having a problem justifying cutting the tree down based on our rules around tree protection. We need to base it on something other than design criteria, and I just don't see anything. And I don't know if I'll let other commissioners talk, but I would love to consider it because of if I were doing it from a design perspective, I say the tree's in the wrong spot. But if I'm doing it for compliance with our rules, I don't have a justification to approve it. Anyone else have a comment?
I'll say something, Eric. This is Nancy Lerner. I see this as a nicely wooded, well-designed lot. I like the presentation that everybody has given. I also like to let the homeowners do what they want to do with their own land where we're otherwise so undecided. And I see that there's an alternative formal motion provided here, so somebody else must agree with that too. And I tend to let this go forward as the homeowners want.
All right. Harry?
Well, I think we have to be guided by, in fairness, I think there has to be an equal application of the rules. So Municipal Code Section 8.10.040, which is cited in the staff report, sets forth 4 criteria. The last 2 refer to looking at the rest of the lot, including good forestry practices, including the number of healthy trees given on a parcel of land, and there's a general character of the land and how many trees are there and so forth. So there are a lot of other trees there, heritage and otherwise, and redwoods, but I don't think that's enough to get over the first 2. I don't think the presentation satisfies the requirements of the first 2 factors under 8.10.040, which is the health of the tree, the probability of personal injury or property injury. So for those reasons, I don't think the burden has been discharged here, and therefore I would not agree with the application for the removal of that heritage tree.
Randy? Anything on this one?
Just thinking here. Go ahead, Paul. He wants to jump in.
All right, Paul, go ahead.
No, I'm fine. I have no other comments or questions.
So I will go ahead. I tend to, a couple of you guys threw out things I wasn't expecting today. In this particular case, I don't feel strongly about the tree number 5. Having said that, as I mentioned, and as Perry just mentioned, that he doesn't feel that the hurdle's been met in terms of being able to justify removal of that tree. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling on it. Let's just say that.
All right. Well, we've got a section of this that we can make a motion on that seems like it's going to be okay on item. We could have a motion on B, and we could look more at a secondary, or if anybody is ready for a motion overall, we can make a motion. I'll go with B. I move the planning commission find the exception to the tree protection zone TPZ for the heritage trees, tree number 2 to 3, the 3 diameter, and then tree number 18 to 6 times the tree's diameter. And that, by the way, that's 3 times the tree diameter. It's not on the motion, but 3 times the tree diameter, and tree number 18 to 6 times the tree diameter, and tree number 19 to 6 times the tree diameter would not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan, and for the reasons outlined in the staff report, and that the commission approve the TPZ exceptions at 133 Burns Avenue, subject to the conditions listed in the draft TPZ exception certificate. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Do I have a roll call, please, Stephanie? Or Jake, whoever is doing it?
I can do that. Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Excuse me. Yes, yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
Yes.
Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
All right. Now the A part.
So I'll make a motion here, but I'll preface it by saying,
Through the chair, I have one individual in the public forum that has requested to speak. If you are open to opening it back up, they would like to speak on behalf of the tree.
All right, good. All right. That's a format I'll allow back in. All right, can you knock down the map for a minute, Jake, so I can see who it is?
Yes. It is Jude.
All right, Jude. All right, good. I'll open up the public hearing. Jude, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Lane, and good evening, planning commissioners. Thank you again for considering this. Laura May has done an outstanding job working with Jake and Stephanie and Sally, and it's been a very, very challenging project. We approach this design, trying to basically do a beautiful home amongst a heavily wooded lots. We've done many other improvements to reduce impacts on the trees, especially removing pavement out front that improves the health of 2 or 3 additional heritage trees. We've simplified the driveway by the deodara cedar to reduce impact there. We're removing, if you visited the site, you know how much paving is in the back. Right. This design is coming from what's currently there. So, we're very limited to where we can go with the home. And we knew we were going to impact the trees to the left for the garage. But we did want to also throw out an alternative request to have a exception for the tree number 5. I believe that's the oak that we're discussing. So in lieu of removal, would there be consideration for a reduced tree protection zone down to a distance of 6 times or less, or 6 times or less? I think Laura May has a dimension of 12 feet there, and given the reduced size of the calculation for the oak, I think that's coming very close to that number that we've discussed. The other thing of consideration is we do also have a detail for the garage foundation that was done through the recommendation of Kevin Kilty for a foundation design that is least impactful on trees. And that's, I believe, in the packet. So if you open the packet there, you will see a foundation design that's specially done for situations like this to help mitigate some of the impact on the tree. So if you cannot see tonight to have outright removal, which we think is the preferred option, given this tree is basically growing under a very large redwood. And, to me, it is not an ideal situation, and it would only enhance the other character of all the redwoods that we have there. We'd ask you that you at least consider a reduced tree protection zone for that oak so that we can build the garage without having to further move it forward to reduce the impact on the Deodara Cedar and driveway. So thank you again for that consideration. And I promise I won't ask you to open the public hearing up again.
All right, good. Anyone else like to speak while we have the public hearing open? Or May?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that detail that Jude mentioned is page 17 in the packet that you guys got. So that's basically just essentially raising that grade beam at the garage. You know, the area that's close to the tree is garage. So that's all going to be a slab with a pier and grade beam foundation. So so basically, you know, that detail on page 17 is showing a raised grade beam. So essentially the penetration into the soil is only 6 inches plus or minus for the grade beam at the back of the garage. So that would be an alternative if we can't get removal of the oak.
All right, great. Anyone else have anything to say on this item?
No.
Then I'm going to raise.
I just have a question for.
Hold on, let me close the public.
I have a question for Jude.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So, Jude, I didn't understand or didn't hear correctly. As an alternative, you proposed that we consider a smaller TPZ for which tree? For number 5?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For number 5?
Yes, the oak tree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. But Sally, are you in a position now to give some direction on what the smallest TPZ would be for number 5?
In my staff report, I wrote 8 times, but it wasn't something that I
You didn't evaluate that.
I really didn't evaluate it. I said in my staff report at that time I can allow 8 times, but now they're requesting lower than that. So I don't know if we can decide that tonight. Planning will have to let you know.
Well, you certainly can't decide it tonight, but Eric, when you come back to the commission, I have a proposal on that issue.
All right, good. All right.
And
can public comment?
Can I say one more thing? And I don't want to shock anybody, but there was a little confusion on the submittal package, and there was another 2 tree exceptions for a pool design that extended the existing pool through no fault of anybody. That request got denied, or not, excuse me, got omitted from the package tonight, just to simplify things. So those exceptions had nothing to do with the house. They're solely regarding the pool. There's a plan for a lap lane extension to the near side of the pool. And so we are going to be back next month to discuss that item with you. If you choose to continue this item, what we're talking about tonight, you know, you will see us again. And in the meantime, we can probably work more closely with Sally to come up with an appropriate tree protection. You know, I know she's going to say 8 times, but I think if we propose some of these mitigation measures, you know, I think we can come to a reasonable agreement. So that's where we stand. We just wanted to get that out in public so you were aware of that.
All right, great. Anyone else like to speak then before I close the public hearing?
Nope.
All right, good. I'm going to close the public hearing. All right, so I agree, Perry, that if we get some, Sally, if you look into that and see what's reasonable and actually know the measurement is a 6 by as opposed to a 5.2 or whatever it is. And also, for me, I'd be interested in whatever potential impact there could be to the redwoods if we do something close to the oak tree, and does that push any roots into the redwood that cause other problems that we don't want to get into. So it's, since the trees are sort of intermingled, that'd be the type of the question I would be coming back with if you brought this back. Just as a clarification from Stephanie or Jake, we don't need to continue this item because there's nothing to continue if we don't take an action on this. Do we take action on this?
We already did take the action. You already made a motion.
I know, no, I'm talking about A. I'm talking about A.
Right. So Eric, I think my proposal is there's a pending application. I know what I'm going to move and I know how I'm going to vote. And I think we need to make a decision on the pending application.
Yes.
However, in addition, I will make a second motion that is in accord with what Jude and I and Sally were just talking about coming back and continuing the conversation with respect to a smaller TPZ.
Yeah, and I'm sure we need a motion for that, but it's a comment that we would direct staff to. Stephanie, what do we need to do? I agree that we need to close this one off. Do we need to make a motion on the other part, or we just tell you that that's what we're interested in?
My recommendation is to strictly make a formal motion on the formal applications that have been submitted and duly noticed that are being requested for consideration tonight. So there were two applications that were submitted, one for a tree protection zone exception for a series of trees. You've already made such motion and taken action. The second is for a heritage tree removal permit. That is the requested action that staff is recommending that the commission take. Following any action on that application, if the commission wants to provide further direction on any subsequent formal application to be submitted at some point in the future regarding potentially a tree protection zone exception for tree number 5, then it would be appropriate to do so, but no formal action is necessary because no formal application has been submitted.
That's what I thought too. All right, good. So Perry, does that make sense to you?
Yes. Everything Stephanie says makes sense.
All right, good. So are you interested in making a motion?
Yeah, so I'm going to make the first motion and preface it by letting Ms. Beeler know that I say this only because we've turned down some very difficult applications in the past. And so I do this only out of fairness, it's not personal. But nonetheless, I move that the Planning Commission find the request for a heritage tree removal for one coast live oak, tree number 5, to be contrary to the purpose and intent of the general plan, the reasons outlined in the staff report, and the Planning Commission deny the heritage tree removal permit at 133 Burns Avenue.
Is there a second? I'll second. All right. Any comments on the motion?
No.
All right, then let's go ahead and have a roll call. Stephanie?
Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tonelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
No.
Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
All right. So Barry, you want to restate the direction to staff and also the applicant?
Right. So I move as follows. So
we don't need a motion on this. You just need to say this would be what we were looking for in the commission, because there's no motion in front. There's nothing in front of us to act on.
okay, well, here's a requested direction to staff.
There you go. There you go.
That staff, including Sally, Ms. Dalton, work with the applicants in determining whether a less than 8x TPZ would be appropriate for tree number 5. And if the applicant wishes to submit another application for a reduced TPZ, that they are invited to do so.
There you go. Perfect. I agree. All right. Thank you for waiting to the end. And I know it wasn't what you wanted, but I think we can get an outcome here that'll be good for everybody and be consistent with the code.
Yep.
And Jenny, thank you for staying up late because it looked like you had a job that you were doing in the background over there too. All right, Laura May and Jude, thank you. And that's all we have on the public items right now. So thank you for coming. And now we're going to go on to item 5. Thank you. All right, item 5 is the staff reports.
Thank you, Chair. Just two quick items I wanted to highlight for the commission. Just following the joint study session that you had earlier this evening with the City Council regarding housing laws, the upcoming housing element update, and the associated RENA or regional housing needs allocation process. I certainly would anticipate, I'll say multiple additional study sessions that this topic will be brought forward again with more detail, more analysis, and whether those study sessions are in the format of a joint meeting with the planning, or excuse me, with the council, that I'm not sure, but certainly would be coming forward back to the commission for additional review and comment and direction as we continue moving forward in that process.
Yeah, real quick comment on that, Stephanie. You know, I like the idea of something on the edge, but I would, my idea on the edge would be something very targeted in terms of use, like a retirement home complex, or you know, something like that, where it'd be targeted with a very special type of nature. That would make it less likely to be the beginning of a radical change to that particular neighborhood. But I think staff did a great job on that. And as you know, I attended the San Mateo Countywide Housing Forum that was online the week before, which was really well attended. I mean, it was, you know, I took screenshots of all the attendees. There were a number of people that were planning staff, and there were a number of people that were agency providers. You know, people basically were, you know, they have the ability to schedule people for shared homes and things like that. So it was really about only a housing approval and not about a community plan. And I think that's going to be the hardest part of this whole thing for us, is we've got to look at holistically, and it's being developed like popcorn in different areas. Like, you know, we'll have the housing element like this, and somebody will popcorn an environmental requirement, and somebody else will say restrain water usage, and somebody else, it's going to be a moving thing for a while. So it'll be multiple meetings, I'm sure.
Thank you for going on our behalf.
Oh yeah, I was the only person who lived in Atherton in the Atherton breakout. And I want you to know I represented you all well.
And did you lobby yourself into or out of anything?
I absolutely, I was like, all those in favor say, there was nothing requested. I was interested to see what happened in the Woodside, because Woodside had a number of people that were in the community. Woodside has very similar issues, and they had a room about 40, you know, probably 35 or 40. And I was going to step in on that, but they were three quarters of the way in after our session was over, and I didn't want to disrupt whatever mojo they had going. But it'd be interesting to see what happened there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Second one, Stephanie?
Yeah, just real quick for the commission's information is that the City Council last week authorized the release of a request for proposal, or RFP, for a new consultant position within the town for a sustainability coordinator. I bring that to the commission's attention. That position, or consultant position, is slated to really help staff and support environmental and sustainability based issues. Some of that may be part of a climate action plan update, and could be other land use related elements that could make their way back to the commission. So it's sort of a policy direction that the town feels that these matters of sustainability and environmentalism are something that they want to consider potentially within town format.
All right, great. Thank you.
And then, sorry, lastly, that we will be having a May Planning Commission meeting. We have a full agenda once again, looking ahead.
Yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, we could have had a fuller agenda today, but Stephanie decided that we didn't want to have a new school housing thing come before us tonight, because it was in at the last minute, and it just looked like we were going to be on a 5-hour thing. I'll bring this up just because when I saw this, when I picked up my packet, the town of Atherton, the police department's put together an enhanced alarms service procedure and crime prevention manual. It's pretty good. If you know anybody who's interested in needing that, it's available. at the police station, and it's pretty comprehensive. Somebody did a lot of work on it, so I just wanted to highlight their good work. And the other, I had one other thing. I guess it wasn't that important because I can't remember it. That's it. I did my update on the housing overview. That's what it was. All right. Anything else?
I got a couple of things real quick. A little coincidence on tonight's agenda, and we're reviewing 24 Hawthorne and the oak #1 removal. So when Eric and I started on this commission well, I think Eric started in 2012. I was in 2013. One of the commissioners was Phil Lively, who was very active in town.
Yeah.
24 Hawthorne. Phil passed away in June of 2015, and 24 Hawthorne is his former residence.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
I guess they sold the house and somebody is going to be doing something with it. But when I went by to see it, I was like, oh, Phil's old place.
Yeah.
So just a little memory of Phil Lively on the police commission. And then the other thing that I had was, it occurred to me a couple of times tonight. I don't know if you guys remember Gilda Radner as Roseanne Dana.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live. Well, a couple of times tonight, Stephanie, when you were right in the middle of that oak tree, that with the logo behind you, when you were centered with that oak tree, it looked like you had Roseanne Dana's hairdo.
Oh, very good.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Paul.
Screenshot that so I can use it as my background.
Yeah, it was almost perfect.
So, Paul, are you? Did somebody? Stephanie, I know that there's a seat that's coming up for terming out. Has anybody applied for the seat yet?
I have no idea.
No one's applying.
Whose
All right,
seat
so
is it?
Paul, you might want to, think about that if nobody applies.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I thought about it.
All right, good. Because maybe, yeah.
Briefly.
Hey,
Stephanie.
we'll double your salary if you stay.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Anything else? Perry, Nancy,
Nope.
Randy?
I'll move. Oh, no.
All right.
Yes,
You got a motion to close the hearing, I assume?
Yep, I move it.
I'll second.
All right.
All those, roll call, please.
Chair Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Tinelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb,
Yes.
Commissioner Lerner,
Yes.
Commissioner Narnsick.
Yes.
Thank
This
you.
reminds me,
Thank you all.
yeah, this reminds me of the planning commission meetings for Contra Costa County where we would do, where should we have a dump site and would go for 5 hours. So,
Ooh. No.
all
All
right.
right. Good to see you all. We'll see you next month.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.